History of Japan. Japan has a very long and interesting history. It is a country with ancient traditions, powerful warriors, beautiful art, and modern technology. Today, Japan is one of the most developed countries in the world, but its history began thousands of years ago. In this video, we will take a simple journey through the history of Japan, from ancient times to the modern country we know today. Ancient Japan. The first people came to the Japanese islands many thousands of years ago. One of the earliest cultures was called the Jomon culture. These people lived by hunting, fishing, and collecting food. They also made simple pottery. Later, another culture called the Yayoi culture appeared. The Yayoi people brought rice farming and new technologies to Japan. Rice became very important to Japanese society. Over time, small communities became larger and more organized. Powerful families began to control different parts of the country. Around the 3rd century, a large political area called Yamato became powerful. The Yamato rulers are important because they helped create the early Japanese state. Japan also began to have strong connections with China and Korea. From these countries, Japan learned about writing, government, Buddhism, art, and technology. The birth of Japanese culture. In the 6th century, Buddhism came to Japan. At first, not everyone accepted it. Some people wanted to keep the old Japanese religious traditions. However, Buddhism slowly became an important part of Japanese culture. Japanese leaders also learned from China. They developed new systems of government and education. Chinese writing was also very important for the development of Japanese writing. In the 8th century, the capital of Japan was moved to Nara. Nara became an important center of politics, religion, and culture. One of the most famous buildings from this period is Todaiji Temple. It contains a huge statue of Buddha and shows the importance of Buddhism in ancient Japan. Later, in 794, the capital moved to Heian, which is modern-day Kyoto. The Heian period was famous for art, literature, and culture. The people of the imperial court enjoyed poetry, music, painting, and beautiful clothes. One of the most famous books from this period is The Tale of Genji. It was written by Murasaki Shikibu and is often considered one of the world's earliest novels. The Rise of the Samurai. As the country became more complicated, powerful families began fighting for land and power. During this time, the samurai became important. Samurai were warriors who served powerful leaders. They followed ideas about loyalty, honor, and discipline. By the late 12th century, a military government called the shogunate appeared. The emperor still existed, but real political power was often controlled by the shogun. The first major shogunate was created by Minamoto no Yoritomo. This began a new period in Japanese history. For many centuries, samurai and military families played a major role in Japanese politics. The Mongol invasions. In the 13th century, Japan faced a serious danger. The Mongol Empire, led by Kublai Khan, tried to invade Japan. The Mongols attacked Japan twice, first in 1274 and again in 1281. Japanese warriors fought against the invaders. However, nature also helped Japan. Large storms destroyed many Mongol ships. Japanese people believed that these storms were a special sign from the gods. They called the storms kamikaze, meaning divine wind. Japan survived the invasions, but the wars were expensive. The government had problems rewarding the warriors who had defended the country. The Warring States period. Many years later, Japan entered one of its most difficult periods. From the 15th to the 16th century, powerful military leaders fought each other. This period is often called the Sengoku period, or the Warring States period. Japan was divided between many different territories. Leaders built castles and armies and fought for control. 3 famous leaders helped unite Japan. The first was Oda Nobunaga. He was a strong and ambitious military leader. He successfully controlled large parts of Japan. After Nobunaga died, Toyotomi Hideyoshi continued his work. He became one of the most powerful people in Japan and brought much of the country under his control. After Hideyoshi's death, Tokugawa Ieyasu became the most powerful leader. In 1600, Ieyasu won the important Battle of Sekigahara. In 1603, he became shogun and started the Tokugawa shogunate, the Edo period. The Tokugawa shogunate ruled Japan for more than 250 years. This period is also called the Edo period because the political center was Edo, which is modern-day Tokyo. The country became relatively peaceful. Large wars between Japanese leaders became rare. During this time, cities grew, trade developed, and Japanese culture became very rich. Kabuki theater became popular. Woodblock printing became an important art form. Japanese food, clothing, gardens, and traditional arts also developed. However, Japan had very limited contact with many foreign countries. The government controlled foreign trade and tried to protect the country from outside influence. Japan was not completely closed, but contact with foreign countries was strongly limited. Japan opens to the world. In the 19th century, things began to change. In 1853, American ships led by Commodore Matthew Perry arrived in Japan. The American government wanted Japan to open its ports to foreign trade. Japan was not prepared for the military power of Western countries. Japanese leaders realized that the country needed to change. In 1868, the Meiji Restoration began. The shogunate ended, and political power was returned to the emperor. This started a period of rapid modernization. The Meiji period. Japan changed very quickly during the Meiji period. The government created a modern army and navy. New schools and universities were built. Railways were developed, factories appeared, and new technologies came to Japan. Japanese leaders wanted Japan to become strong enough to compete with Western countries. The changes were very successful in many ways. Japan became an industrial and military power. However, Japan also became more interested in expanding its territory. Japan fought wars with China and Russia and gained more influence in Asia. This expansion later created serious problems for Japan and its neighbors. World War II. In the 1930s, Japan became increasingly militaristic. Japan expanded its control over parts of Asia. In 1941, Japan attacked the American naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. This brought the United States into World War II. Japan fought the United States and other allied countries across the Pacific. The war caused enormous destruction. In August 1945, the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Japan surrendered shortly afterward, bringing World War II to an end. The country was left with enormous damage, and many people lost their homes and families. Japan after the war. After World War II, Japan began rebuilding. The country adopted a new constitution in 1947. Japan became a democratic country, and the emperor became a symbol of the nation rather than a political ruler. Japan's economy began to grow quickly. Factories produced cars, electronics, cameras, and many other products. Japanese companies became famous around the world. By the 1960s, Japan had become one of the world's major economies. Tokyo also developed rapidly. In 1964, Tokyo hosted the Olympic Games. This showed the world that Japan had successfully rebuilt after the war. Modern Japan. Today, Japan is a modern country with a strong economy and advanced technology. It is famous for companies such as Toyota, Sony, Nintendo, and many others. Japan is also famous for its traditional culture. People around the world enjoy Japanese food, anime, manga, video games, martial arts, and traditional arts. At the same time, Japan still has many old temples, castles, gardens, and traditional festivals. This combination of old and new is one of the most interesting things about Japan. You can see a very old temple in Kyoto, and only a few hours later, see modern skyscrapers and advanced trains. Conclusion. The history of Japan is a story of change. Japan began with ancient communities and slowly developed into a powerful state. It experienced emperors, samurai, shoguns, civil wars, and rapid modernization. Japan also experienced war and great destruction, but it was able to rebuild and become one of the world's leading countries. Today, Japan combines ancient traditions with modern technology. Its history teaches us that a country can change many times and still keep important parts of its culture and identity. From the ancient Jomon people to the samurai, from the Edo period to modern Tokyo, Japan has a long and fascinating story. And that story continues today.